So, hey Taurus, my name is Chris, and this is your beautiful reading for whenever you find it in 2026, I might add, and intense frequencies in this year. We're diving right in. There's the Justice card, and there's the Empress again and again in these 2026, whenever you find it readings that I'm doing right now, or have been doing. By the way, check out your Sun, Moon, and Rising sign if you want the full picture. These two show up all the freaking time. The Empress, which is very, very powerful. That is inner mastership, as I always say. And then Justice. So you worked on yourself, right? You did your homework, and maybe you called out your own BS, right? And you just purified yourself in the sense that you might have reached a form of authenticity and integrity, and that allows you to rest within yourself. Nothing to hide, nothing to prove, very stubborn, sitting there in your garden, in your world, in your nature, as the Empress, The Emperor is kind of the boss who has something to prove, who wears armor, who goes to war, who's commanding people. That is not your thing. You are kind of self-sufficient. You're just sitting there, creating your own world, enjoying your own world, and you totally deserve this, right? So most likely, if you're resonating with this channel, you are more on the empathic side. So, it hasn't been easy in the last years, since 2008 especially, but not exactly easy before that either. For empaths, let's just go. We're going to do 10 cards. There's Joyful Creation. And I love this because the Nine of Cups, right, shows up again and again and again in 2026. It seems to be almost the year of the Nine of Cups guy. So the story here is pretty much that you worked on yourself, right? You integrated your shadow, maybe Carl Jung, maybe that rings some bells. And now it's time, you did the working part, you did the working on yourself part, you did the self-integration part. Not just the lovey-dovey stuff that you like about yourself, but also the shadow aspects. And you can say Tatvamasi, right? And that too, that is inner mastership, showing here up as the Empress and the Justice card. So you really deserve this. And what's coming next? There's the Chariot and Joyful Happy Creation. Do what you love. That seems to be a very, very important topic in 2026. Taurus, you're kind of this frequency or this energy, a little stubborn. Sometimes you try, like Capricorn, trying to go with your head through the wall. Take out the seriousness. Don't take it all so freaking serious. It's time to be playful. It's time to be joyful. It's time to be joyful. And then there's the Tower with the Four of Wands. Tower with the Four of Wands is telling me, the tower came down. The tower was pretty much, that's interesting combination. Four of Wands is this energy where you're invited, right? Come join us. That's a higher frequency. That's joy. That's easygoing. That is nothing bad is going to happen. It's a good, bright, sunny day. It's a celebration, maybe a wedding, maybe, something beautiful to join, to have fun with. And the tower, of course, is not exactly comfortable when it hits you. But I feel like this tower is a past tower. Maybe it is a tower that just recently, when you watch this video, has collapsed or is in the process of collapsing. But if you're honest, there might have been something toxic in this tower. Some form of restriction rather than anything else, right? It was not really protecting you. It was restricting you. It was limiting your joy and your happiness. And this tower, whether it's a job, whether it's a career, whether it's a relationship, whether it's people that you've lost, cords that you have cut, I think that was for the better. And yeah, let's just see how this is going. There's the Ace of Pentacles with the Seven of Cups. You have to make a choice, and that choice should be grounded. Grounded in the sense that you choose something that makes sense in... Let's just wait for the clarifiers. In Pentacles terms, basically. There is a little worrying aspect here, and there's the Seven of Swords. So the narcissist is still around. The world is still a mindfuck paradise, right? All sorts of shady people are doing all sorts of horrible stuff, right? Mindfucks here and there. People get mistreated. People get exploited. People get, you know, you name it. It's happening. And this frequency, these kinds of people who kind of sold their soul to darker aspects, and, you know, they might not have been able to integrate their own shadow. They might have fallen into the abyss of their own shadow. And sure, they're still around, right? So you can't change that. They are just there. So worrying about stuff that's kind of what I always say. When you worry about stuff that you cannot change, for example, the world full of narcissists, you're disempowering yourself. But if you worry about stuff to make a plan, to, you know, take some action into the right direction, then that's a useful usage scenario of your mind, for your mind. So you lost something and you're a little worried about that. And what is coming next is the big question, right? So you have to make a choice for the next chapter of your life. The old chapter just collapsed in itself, and the old chapter most likely has a lot to do with Pluto in Capricorn, you know, since 2008, you know, just doubling down on your efforts, being harder on yourself. And that chapter is definitively over. We're in Pluto in Capricorn. It's much more about joyful creation, being a friend to yourself, not being so freaking hard on yourself. Maybe that tower that you built here was kind of built, you know, it kind of became your own prison in a way. It was too tight, right? And thank God it went down, which of course you cannot see it like that if it happens at the time, right? But what I see here laying on the table is there's the Queen of Wands as well. Joyful, passionate creation, and the part where you suffer for your passion, that part is over. And you're actually having some fun with it. And I say this again and again, there is a suffering aspect of passion. Suffering aspect of passion is where you learn how to ride the bike and you fall on your face, and that hurts, and that is the suffering aspect of passion. You're very passionate about learning to ride the bike and you fall down. So you hurt yourself, whether it's your knee or your arm or whatever. But usually when children learn how to ride the bike, they kind of hurt themselves to some extent. Hopefully not seriously, but to some extent, right? That's the suffering for your passion part. And eventually you get the hang of it, you learn how to ride your bike, and then you're just having fun with it. You know, you might fall down every other year, right? But the most part of it is just joy, right? You ride your bike, you go places. You know, that's the beautiful aspect, the joyful aspect of passion. And I feel like the suffering aspect of passion, that was Pluto Pluto in Capricorn since 2008. And you build something out of this, but you build suffering within that structure, if that makes any sense. This is the suffering for passion aspect. And whatever you build in that phase is kind of interwoven with suffering. So that structure needed to come down to make way for something much more beautiful. And there is the potential for wealth, abundance, and prosperity in joyful creation. Queen of Wands, the Ace of Pentacles, then you got the Four of Wands here. Nine of Cups, the Chariot, super support from the universe. You did all your homework. Yes, the world is still full of narcissists, but you focus on what you can create, what you can do in your own life. And the focus is on resting within yourself, being yourself a friend, joyful creation. A few clarifiers. Yeah, there's the Five of Wands. Five of Wands is kind of an answer to the Seven of Swords, so don't take it too serious. People are narcissistic. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And it seems to have been the time of the narcissist in the last 8 years especially, maybe since 2008. So these people are around, and don't engage, don't defend, don't explain, don't engage, don't personalize. And whenever you have to deal with such people, don't defend, don't engage, don't explain, don't personalize. Deep, right? What's her name? There's this lady, she has a YouTube channel about narcissism and narcissistic abuse. Dr. Ramani. Okay, yeah, check out her channel. I'm going to link it at the end. It's a fantastic channel, and I learned a lot from her. And that deep technique, basically, right? Deep, D like don't defend. Don't engage, don't explain, don't personalize. DEEP. Don't defend, don't engage, don't explain, don't personalize. If you do that, you are, you're not taking it so serious, right? You just accept that these creatures are in the world, and you just shrug your shoulder, and that's the Five of Wands. See it as training, see it as a daily practice, right? Hopefully not a daily practice, but a practice. There's the Temperance card. Keep it in a balance. Inner peace is so much important. Cooperation, but make sure that you only cooperate in an endeavor, in an enterprise, whatever you're going to do here, if you're doing your part right, in the sense that you're doing what you love, that you're doing what is meaningful to you. The Sun card, clarifying all this Nine of Swords Tower thing here with the choice here. Choose happiness, right? Choose happiness, and happiness really is a choice. Six of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck or in the center, as however you want it. I like this combination with the Seven of Swords and the Six of Pentacles, because the Six of Pentacles is everybody gets, there's karma in, not everybody gets what he deserves. That's bullshit. There are people who are victims of serious crimes, and karma doesn't mean that you deserve that, right? Things are a little more complex than that, but if you make a big wave, if it eventually comes back to yourself, so there's cause and effect in a universal sense. And this narcissistic energy, these narcissistic frequencies that these people are dealing to us, that is subject to karma as well. So you don't need to take revenge. You don't need to, correct anybody. These people are not, you can't, it's not like they are not, some say they are not even smart enough to be as evil as we give them credit for. But they're still kind of dangerous and creating a lot of damage. So don't try to engage, don't try to defend, don't try to explain, don't try to personalize, and don't try to fix them. Very important as well. Don't try to fix them. Create a daily routine, you know, meditation, breathwork is super important to center yourself. And validate only what is valid. So if you're dealing with narcissistic people, or in this world dealing with people at all, right, which is kind of narcissist infested at this point, don't be too nice in the sense that you validate behavior that is not okay. You know, if somebody treats you wrong, speak up, even if your voice is shaking. This is not okay. I'm feeling uncomfortable with this. I don't want this. No, by the way, is a complete sentence. So don't say yes if you mean no. Don't smile if you feel like, right? Only validate what is actually valid. This is a big one, and this has everything to do with the choice that you're going to make. This choice is not so much about outer form, although this might be involved in the next step that you're taking in 2026. But the universe is really a multiverse. It's all about frequency, and what you're choosing on a daily basis, you know, have a daily routine, is the higher frequency. And it is a choice not to jump down into the pig with the mud, not jump down into the mud with the pigs, meaning that you're not behaving like the narcissist. You're not taking their bait, you're not engaging, you're not defending, you're not explaining yourself, you're not personalizing yourself, you're not allowing them to lower your frequency. It's all about frequency, right? If you're in a peace frequency, if you're focused on joyful daily creation, if you're focused on what makes sense to you, if you're trying to build your life a little more open than it used to be. It might have been with this tower in the past here, very structured, very tight, very focused, very narrow. And maybe you didn't have too much joy and happiness in it, right? Because it seems to be that this tower needed to come down to open up your life again for joy and happiness, which is definitively on the table, and that's emphasized in 2026 all throughout the year, no matter where. There's a yearly reading, there's a summer reading for 2026, and these readings that I'm doing now, pretty much the same thing shows up again and again. 2026 is the time where we start to remember joy. That is very, very important. Never tolerate intolerance. So that's a lot about how you deal with narcissists. First of all, you're not trying to change them. You're not arguing with them, and you're not coming down to their frequency. You're not behaving like them. If they lie and manipulate, you're not lying and manipulating yourself, right? You uphold your principles, you uphold your integrity and authenticity, and you take care. It's a daily choice to take care of your frequency. And if they get you sometimes, right, to lower your frequency, you know, you dust yourself up and start again. Coming back to your inner core, coming back to your temperance, to your inner peace, focusing that attention on what you want to create joyfully. And let these people be these people. Which is sometimes hard to do, but it's the only thing you can do, because they want you to fight them. They want you to engage. They want you to come down into the mud with them and roll around. Pathways of Light, that's the Blue Angel Oracle deck, card number 34. Divine Dimensions, nice. Life holds many hidden dimensions, pathways of light that lead to other worlds and realities. These hidden dimensions are inside you and can be accessed through the spaces between your thoughts. When the mind is calm, you can enter a place beyond thought, a place that words cannot describe and your mind cannot contain. It is the multidimensional conscious awareness of your soul, the real you beyond your earthly limitations. Pathways of light, and that's what I always say, breath work. If you're dealing with narcissistic people in your life, right? If you're dealing with an old structure that was way too tight and that kind of collapsed in itself because there was no joy in it. There was absolutely no joy in it. Now it's time to make that decision to bring more joy into yourself. You are enough. You deserve that. And now do it daily. Joyful creation, that's a daily practice. And if you are indeed bombarded with negativity, with negative energy from narcissistic people, you do breath work. You can do this at home, of course. 10 seconds in, 20 seconds breathing out, really pushing it out. Do that for as long as you need it. It might be kind of uncomfortable at first, and you don't need to start with 10 and 20 out. Whatever you can do 7 in and 14 out, but the out breath should be 2 times that of the in breath, right? So you're releasing negativity, you're releasing negative energy. That's a daily practice. If you can scroll around on Instagram or whatever, X, I hope you're not on that platform anymore. But whatever it is, right? You have that time to do that. Even if you start 5 minutes, 10 minutes every day, if you do that every day, that's very important. It's already transforming your life. Do that whenever you need it. Do that on a daily basis. That's ideal. And then if you do that 10 minutes, 5 minutes maybe, if you've never done it before, and the same amount of time in meditation, just sitting there, right? Not judging your thoughts, just sitting there. And then you're cultivating that space in between your thoughts, and that is opening up all these tower structures that you build that are too tight, too ordered, too, breathing exercise, meditation. That's cultivation of your mind, and that's what I always recommend, especially for 2026, because, the narcissist is still on a rampage in this world, right? You might have noticed whenever you turn on the news, you see it. And that can bring us down, but it is a daily decision and a daily practice to choose the sun. You got the sun card clarifying the 7 of Cups. And it is a daily choice not to jump down into the pigs with the mud. Not jump down into the mud with the pigs, of course. But uphold your frequency and concentrate on what you want to create, and that is joy and happiness. There's the 9 of Cups, the Queen of Wands is a good combination. Empress, Justice card, you really deserve this. Don't deny it to yourself. As you look around, you can sense the magic that pulses through the world. Have you witnessed how every thought can become a thing, how every intention can call the universe into action, as the sacred laws shape what you experience? The universe works in perfect order. When you align your thoughts, feeling, and beliefs with spirit, you will want to grow with the light, feeling the excitement and wonder of being in harmony with something much larger than yourself. Crow Spirit says you are right on target now to see your dreams magically come into being in the visible world. The laws of abundance, compensation, there's justice, there's the Ace of Pentacles. The laws of abundance and compensation, frequency and praise are operating in your favor now. Remember to be grateful and praise what is yours, even if it is still coalescing into form, still residing in the invisible realms of co-creation. No matter what area of your life you're concerned with right now, what you hope for is on its way. For Spirit is your co-creation partner. So even if you're not seeing results, just, doing what you love to do on a daily basis is kind of its reward in itself. If you enjoy what you're doing, then doing it is joyful, and you might make or lay the foundation for something that has Pentacles energy, right? That's the Ace of Pentacles. There is the prospect of wealth, abundance, and prosperity with the Ace of Pentacles. But you have to show up for it. You have to make it a daily practice to do that. Co-creating with Spirit, pathways of light. That's all I got. And I hope it resonates with you. And if it does, share, like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know what you think about it. Check out the summer reading. I'm going to link this around here. And I think I'm going to post a Dr. Ramani video. She's the best, right? When it comes to narcissism, narcissistic abuse, you can learn a lot from her and from this channel as well. So see you soon, hopefully. Namaste, my friend. Ciao.